Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of Reddit Podcast Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today. Karen demands the government provide for her family. After that, am I the jerk for telling my sister she was never a scapegoat? And after that, oh, I can't read? Bet. Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen has to get a job. I have one, Reddit boy. It's called sitting here listening to you read all day. So please smash that like button. And subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. Karen demands the government provide for her family. I'm female 27, and my friend, who's also female 27, we'll call her Sarah, and her husband decided to have a baby in 2020. They were both unemployed at the time because of lockdown. Ever since the baby arrived, when the friendship groups get together, all Sarah does is dominate the conversation about her money woes. She is now a stay-at-home mom, and her husband's small business collapsed during lockdown, and he's never worked since as he can't find a job in his niche field. The friend group has always been supportive of her and suggested extra government support she can apply for, and have also suggested her husband look for work outside of his field for the time being, but she never seems to listen and only wants to vent. Yesterday, she told the friend group that she and her husband had been secretly trying for another baby, and she was now pregnant. Shortly after the news, Sarah once again started to complain about money. She was talking about how her kid is sleeping on a mattress on the floor because she outgrew her crib, but they can't afford to buy another bed for her right now. She was ranting that the government should give more financial support to unemployed parents. Sarah then pointed out that I was being quiet, and I told her that if I was being honest, she put herself in a worse financial position by planning another baby, and it's not the government's responsibility to provide for her family, especially considering her husband has been unemployed for more than 2 years now. She cried, left, and now my friends are all saying I should apologize. You're the jerk. You have absolutely no right to decide who should and who shouldn't be having kids. I hope her and the whole friend group ghost your judgmental self, because I know I would. Her and her husband are the only ones who get to decide if they want to have more kids or not, and she's right about the government stepping in and doing what it's there to do. It's there to serve the people, especially those who need help. Why is it that the people like yourself who are so high and mighty and don't even need financial help at all are the quickest to judge those who do? You're what's wrong with this country, and I'm so glad we have someone in office who disagrees with your outdated ways of thinking. I also hope that you are in the exact same position she is one day and that you can't get the help that you need. You're the jerk. I'm getting major conservative vibes from you. If you come to Reddit and expect us to support your insulting of those who are battling socioeconomic struggles, you're in the wrong place. If it were up to me, there would be a hard limit on how much money anyone can legally make. Then the excess would be used for people like your friend who need it. Why are some people making $100 million a year while others can't afford to feed their kids? Because we have a broken system that doesn't work. Yes, you're a major jerk, and your friend did not at all deserve your mistreatment. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or her friend? Please let us know. I think you're the jerk, Reddit boy, for reading these stories and comments that just make my blood boil. But they're very entertaining though, that's for sure. Am I the jerk for telling my sister she was never a scapegoat? I, 20 female, have an older sister, Jen, who's 28, and a younger sister, Chloe, who's 17. Jen made our lives horrible growing up. She was rude, reckless, a liar, a thief, everything. She refused to go to therapy and fought our mom every step of the way. None of us could have nice things because Jen would ruin them. She got into a screaming match with Chloe when she was 11 and Jen was 22. There's so much more she's done, but it's very personal. She was a bad person, full stop. When she was 24, she met her current boyfriend, who's a literal godsend. Jen finally went to therapy, got a degree, and has a job. She's not perfect, but I can acknowledge the effort as much as I dislike her. Over the past few months, she's been making an effort to reconnect with the family. Chloe is full no contact, but me and Mom have been seeing her. I feel like she's been lying to her therapist because she's been told that she was the scapegoat, I was the invisible kid, and Chloe was the golden child. This couldn't be any further from the truth. I will admit, at the height of Jen's spiral, Mom did assume everything bad was caused by Jen, but that was because it had been years of the same destructive pattern of behavior. Like, yes, Jen, you're an alcoholic. Of course she's going to assume it was you who stole her booze. or assuming she got fired from her job due to her attitude, which is why she got fired from every job beforehand, or assuming she was being brought home by the police because she regularly breaks the law. This was never Mom being malicious, but when that's what you've come to expect over nearly 10 years, you're going to make a snap judgment. Jen and her fiance, Luke, met with me to have coffee, and she brought this up, and I'll admit, I laughed in her face. She asked what was wrong, and I said, "Scapegoat? Seriously? Jen, I'm glad you're getting better, but you were a jerk growing up." She got really upset and said she was trying to reach out. I said I appreciated it, but she has to acknowledge how much hurt she caused everyone. She ended up storming out and sent me a text saying she's not going to be disrespected like that, and that it took years for her to realize the family's dynamic. Am I the jerk here? Edit. Some people have asked me how I know Jen is lying and why I was so dismissive of her. Here's why. Her assessment of her siblings' dynamic, golden, invisible, and scapegoat, do not line up at all. I'm apparently the invisible kid, which could not be further from the truth. The same goes with Chloe, who Jen labeled the golden child. I'm looking at examples and traits of all three syndromes, and none of them line up. I also want to make it clear that Jen assigned these labels to us, not her therapist. I've learned that responsible therapists don't use terms like these, so my best guess is that Jen came up with all of this herself whilst we were meeting, or her therapist reinforced it. Either way, Jen came up with this alignment, which makes me skeptical of her. Not the jerk, but it sounds like you could also benefit from therapy. You don't want to hold on to all of this anger for your sister forever, especially if she's trying to better herself. You'll just come off bitter. Maybe keep contact to a minimum for now too. Is she getting better though? It seems that the sister is delusional. Instead of taking accountability for what she did, she came up with an alternative reality of what really happened. It's easy to get better when your excuse is that you were mistreated and not that you were just a bad person. Not the jerk. Your words were harsh, but they sound like they're spot on. And, wording aside, your point was to acknowledge her growth, but also point out that it's not okay to claim victimhood after the fact if it keeps you from actually taking responsibility for your actions. It sounds like she's made some strides, but if this turns into, "I was actually the victim," then her progress in therapy have gone sideways, and it'll become toxic again. You were right to point that out, and make sure she knows you have your own memory of how this went down. It's complex, because she may legitimately have gotten the short end of the stick at times, like assumptions she had done something bad when she hadn't, due to the track record of bad things she had done. She'd be best served to let it all go, rather than trying to untangle the web of when she was wronged. I hope she gets over it and continues her growth, but I don't think you were the jerk for what you said. Oh, I can't read? Bet. Many moons ago, I worked contract for a medical placement company in the employee health department of a rack and pinion steering plant. The plant was scheduled to close, but they were still hiring. It was a head scratcher for us too, and extra help was needed for drug screens on the new hires. The other duties were seeing to injuries as they occurred, setting up appointments with Doc on days he would come, flu shots, and then there was the project. Here's where the story begins. The project was a collection of every medical piece of paper in the plant, all of them, scattered in boxes stacked to the ceiling. No sense of order at all. Two of the veteran nurses would periodically adjourn down to the war room, as it was dubbed, to do whatever they did with the mess. I was enlisted to help one day and succeeded in only managing to mess up the Excel spreadsheet, named Apricot for reasons I've yet to understand, that they were using to attempt to collate this mess. On days when we were slow, if we had no patience, I'd stay at my post and read. And one of those days, the boss lady came by and decided to take umbrage at that hobby. I should add that if I was reading, everything was stocked. All other projects were done, and I'd already been yelled at for sweeping up after myself. "I'd really rather you not do that. I need you doing work. It looks bad." Okay, what else needs to be done? After she looks around at all I've done, "Nothing. You're done. Just don't read." So I said, I'm not a good sitter. Fast forward, she gets sick and a temporary boss comes in. I get assigned the project. It takes a minute, but I get it whipped into shape. First, I sorted papers into folders by name. Then I organized by dates on papers, past to recent in each file. Then I alphabetized the folders and put them in boxes. What had taken the other two nurses months on end took me a few weeks. After that, I started a new Excel spreadsheet. Data entry is one of my favorite things, and I'm fast. Name, date of birth, first date listed, last date listed, easy peasy. I was blowing through 20 to 30 boxes a day. I only took lunch and bathroom breaks. The boss comes back from sick leave, walks in and goes pale. What happened? Nothing. I've been working super hard. Is it not done right? It's great, but it's gone. Yes, ma'am. I've made decent progress. She hem-hawed around and finally muttered, I need you to slow down. Sorry? I need you to slow down. We told them we needed at least this amount of time to complete that project, and as fast as you've gone, there won't be any work left to do. So what else can I do? Do a box, read a book, do a box, take a nap. Just slow down. Bring your books or several books. Just slow down. And that's how I got permission to read in my own downtime at work. Might not be the best malicious compliance story, but after 15 years, it still makes me laugh. Hibachi fun. This happened just yesterday afternoon. My wife convinced me to go to a tulip farm. Spent the time picking up tulips, paying for them, and having to stand and walk around for 3 hours for Instagram pictures is not fun. By the end of that event, we were tired and hungry. I wanted to eat somewhere fun and found a hibachi place. My kids were excited and my wife was happy with her haul. We ended up arriving at the hibachi place and led to our seats. Great service by the staff. More on that later. I forgot to mention that I had a toddler and wanted a high seat for my daughter so she can see the griddle. The staff pointed to one of the waitstaff and indicated I needed a high chair. I was 10 feet from the chair and the waitress was further away. I waved her off and grabbed the chair myself. As I returned to the table, another couple was being led to the other side of our table. Each hibachi setup set 9 to 10 people, so I stopped to let them pass. After passing, a woman turned around and said something to me, but it was noisy and I was concentrated on getting my daughter seated. As I struggled with the seatbelt, I felt a tap on my shoulder, but I sat my daughter first. After seating my daughter, I turned around and the same lady was literally inches from my face telling me a bunch of things. I giggled and told her, sorry, I don't work here. Now, I don't know why she thought I did at all. Everyone who worked there was dressed in black and white. I was wearing a t-shirt, had mud on my shoes, and my hair was tossed around like I hadn't slept in days. However, she insisted and kept raising her voice at me. Granted, it was noisy. I repeated that, I don't work here. She then got heated, yelling and getting angry, saying it was about her food allergies, and if she got sick, she would sue me. At this point, I was tired and told her, I don't care about your allergies because I don't work here. She put her finger in my face, and my wife notices, gets up, swats her hand away, and stood between this lady and I. My wife clarifies that I don't work there, turns around and sits me down, and this lady keeps raising her voice that I was rude to her. At this point, her husband was red and grabbed to sit her down. This interaction lasted for less than a minute. The staff came by and calmed everyone down and made sure everyone was seated. They asked if I wanted to be moved, but I said no. I was fine where I was, then asked the lady if she wanted to be moved, and she said no, but seemed pretty upset. The hibachi chef had noticed all of this as he rolled his cart in. He started his routine, and my wife and kids loved it. I just sat there, happy as a clam that everyone was having a great time while I would get to eat. At this point of the dinner, the hibachi chef started spraying my kids with water, which they loved, and for the adults, he would spray them with white wine from a bottle to loosen them up. When he gets to me, he gives me a really long dose and says, "You need a double. You work overtime today." I thought this was hilarious. As he went around giving all the adults a spray of wine, he gets to the lady and gives her the tiniest spray and says, "Maybe not too much for you." She giggles, but was obviously not entertained. As he does his routine, we had a good time and ate good food. My kids loved it, and to me, that was the important part. Now, after the routine, the chef started cleaning up. He tosses a clean rag and scraper near me, and without missing a beat, I yelled, "Yes, boss!" got up and started scraping off the grill. The chef started barking at me even more. I moved faster and more frantically. Then a waitstaff brings a mop and bucket, and I started mopping. Everyone was laughing. My kids were going crazy. It was hilarious to me, at the least. So to add to it, I spontaneously asked everyone to give a generous tip for the show, even though it wasn't necessary, and they did. Except for you-know-who. I was finally urged back to my chair with clapping from my family. Chef gave a handshake for being a good sport and went on his way. We finished eating and getting served dessert. We then hear talking from the corner where the couple is now arguing because she was mad at me and her husband allowed it all to happen. I really felt bad at that point and just wanted everyone to leave on a good note. I apologized about the interaction earlier because it was easy for me. I had no stake in their argument and it did seem to help. We finished eating and packed up our stuff to leave. As we were leaving, this lady was at the lobby complaining to the manager about everything. My wife stopped and chimed in. Apparently, the manager already knew, made it clear to the lady to calm down, and in an Asian accent said, "Oh, so sorry, no refund. Now you go home." The lady was getting pulled by her husband to the parking lot at that point. "Sorry, dude." Then that manager turns to us in the most New Jersey accent. "I can't believe that accent worked. I hope you guys had a great time." He proceeded to talk to my wife and kids while his staff helped me get our stuff into the car. He walked us out and gave my kids some takeaway snacks. Loved it. Overall, it was a fun day. Am I the jerk for saying that my sister made her own bed when she named her daughter like this? My sister, after years of trying to have kids, got pregnant to have my niece. When she told us the name, I explained in the best way that the name she chose was very common for an animal. An example with an American name. She wanted to call her daughter Bella, just Bella. And in my country, Bella would be extremely common for a pet. She said I was anticipating the worst and wouldn't change my mind. I gave up, but she was warned. She said I was anticipating the worst and I should change my mind. I gave up, but she was warned. Recently, my fiance was asking for a dog and I decided to adopt one. My fiance always wanted to have a dog named Bella, tribute to her childhood dog, and I even commented about it being the same name as my niece, who's 2 now. But she said that she always wanted to name one of her pets even before my sister got pregnant. Since she owns it, I didn't want to contest. We currently don't live together, but we constantly stay at each other's houses and Bella comes with her all the time. This weekend was my son's birthday and there was a party at the house, so all my siblings, parents, in-laws, and my fiance came over, including Bella, both of them. No one in my family had met her yet, not even a week after we adopted, and we introduced her. My sister became quiet. My brothers made a joke with the same names. The mood softened after a while, but when I was alone with my sister, she started saying that I was petty for choosing the same name as my niece for my dog and caused her unnecessary discomfort since I could have chosen any other name. I explained by saying that it wasn't me who chose it, but my bride. Right after that, the reason for the name. She even said that we could have chosen another name out of respect for her and her niece. I ran out of patience and ended up saying in a harsh way, she was already yelling at me and I hate being yelled at, that if she didn't want to go through that kind of discomfort, she shouldn't have put one of the most common names for a pet, and that there's going to be a dog by that name on every corner. She knows it and she chose it anyway, so she made her bed by naming her that. She left early and we're not on good terms. My parents are begging me to change the name, but it's not my dog and my fiance won't budge, saying that she always said that Bella will be the name of her first pet to everyone. Extra. The name is Mel, the equivalent of honey in English, a nickname from Melissa mostly. In Brazil, at least, Mel is one of the most, if not the most used, name for a pet. I only know my niece with this name, but I know 10 dogs named Mel. So basically, your sister named her the local equivalent of Spot or Rover. Well, darn, that was an entirely bad choice, and the dog's name wasn't up to you, so there's that. Not the jerk. It's almost like a combo of everyone sucks here and no jerks here, because people name pets human names all the time. Bailey, Henry, Colin, even my dog's name is Olive. I don't see why this is such a big deal for all parties involved. I think you and your fiance did do it on purpose, but your sister shouldn't care so much. Am I the jerk for no longer paying my fair share after my boyfriend donated a large amount of insurance money to charity? My boyfriend, 26 male, and his brother, 29 male, had a very bad relationship. His brother was an alcoholic, and he had to pay for insurance as part of his job, and he passed from drinking and falling down the stairs. Insurance paid out $260,000 split between him and his mom. Dad abandoned them, so $130,000 each. He said he didn't want the money and wanted to donate it to a charity. We've been together for 3 years, and for 2 of those years, I've paid the majority of the expenses. I make around $90,000 a year, and he makes $35,000. He also has credit card debt from not making enough to survive on and medical debt. I pay $2,000 of our $2,600 rent, most of the food costs, so he can pay off debt. I will admit, I feel like he can do better, but with his bad upbringing and crappy family, I try to be gentle about nagging him, and he hasn't made any areas of improvement. I've worked hard to get new jobs and increase my salary, and he hasn't, which hurts because I work a lot, 9 to 11 hours a day, while it seems like he gets to follow his passion. He teaches kids gymnastics, which doesn't pay well. I'm an engineer, and it feels like I'm doing all of the work keeping us afloat. So when he got the money, I said we should buy an apartment or use it to pay off his debt or save it or something. But he wants to donate it, and I'm really hurt because he doesn't care that by doing that, I'm forced to keep working harder and harder to support us. Especially because our rent got, legally, increased to $2,900. And so if we re-sign for this place, almost half of my money is going to rent. I tried to explain it that we need the money and he can donate a portion, but he needs to take care of our finances first, like I've been doing for years. But he's mad that I want to make use of his brother's blood money and accuses me of only seeing money when it's about doing the right thing. I feel like he only cares about doing the right thing while letting me do all of the hard stuff, like paying all the bills and taking care of real life. His brother passed almost a year ago, and he got the insurance money 6 months ago and hasn't helped out at all. I've already talked about everything I wrote above to him, and he just ignores me. Last month, I found out he donated everything to the American Cancer Society, and while it's a good cause, it doesn't help our finances. I was so angry that I'm left paying for everything so he can feel noble. I've told him he needs to start paying half the rent and food, and I'm no longer subsidizing him. We've had so many fights about this because I only buy enough food for myself, and he gets home with nothing to eat and accuses me of being selfish. He says because I make more, I should be paying what I do. But he got a lot of money, so why doesn't he pay for more things? Even his mother, who wasn't great to him, called and begged him to keep the money rather than donating it. Everyone in my life, my parents, my friends, and my sister, consider him a bum and openly ask me why I'm with him. I don't know if I can answer it positively anymore because I feel used. But am I the jerk for insisting my boyfriend pay half of everything now that he has donated all of his brother's insurance money? Do you want outside permission to dump him? Boom, done and granted. Break up with him. Not the jerk. Anyone who gets money like that and gives it away when they have actual responsibilities is no one to continue making a life with. Bail, flee, scurry, abandon ship. Save yourself, your sanity, and money. Not the jerk. Do not re-sign that lease. Tell him that if he wants to make major financial decisions on his own, then he can cover his major financial expenses on his own. Everyone sucks here. He has huge survivor's guilt, and that can be paralyzing. Been there, done that. Still kind of doing it. That being said, he has responsibilities and debt to pay off that affect more than just him. On the other hand, the fact that you're complaining about his profession and playing the martyr doesn't help things for you. I am guessing, or should I say hoping, that you knew how he mishandled money, that he was in debt, and what his job was before you moved in together. In that case, I say, play stupid games, win stupid prizes. You're the jerk. It's an inheritance, and you don't get to decide how he uses it. It's funny that when this comes up in other posts, the person, usually a dude, who is unhappy how their partner uses the money is called the jerk, but not you. It would be interesting to see how this would have played out if the genders were reversed. Having said that, this guy sounds like a bum, so you're a double jerk if you don't break up with him. Seriously, what's he bringing to the table? You're obviously intelligent. What are you getting out of this? Everyone sucks here, though primarily him. You're right that what he did with the money wasn't wise and that he should have put some of it towards some form of savings or your shared expenses. It was an opportunity and he blew it. He didn't even pay down his debts. No wonder you're resentful of this decision. But darn, you are awfully judgmental of someone working for $35,000 a year. His work teaching those kids is real work. That's almost $17 an hour and is more than a lot of us make. Someone flipping burgers for significantly less than $35,000 a year does real work too. They are not bums. Your response to anyone saying that he's a bum for making a full-time wage should be to shut that crap down, but you seem remarkably okay with hearing it. Honestly, you two don't sound compatible. You have very different financial priorities and goals, and it doesn't seem like there's trust or respect there on either side to allow you guys to work through that. you really can't be expected to ignore what he did either. It is a big deal. He has shown you who he is. Believe him. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or her boyfriend? Please let us know. Am I the jerk for not returning my friend's wallet? So this guy that I hang out with has almost the exact same wallet as I do. Size, color, stitching, just the texture of our wallets is slightly different. So anyways, we were hanging out with some friends and decided to call it a night. While I was grabbing my stuff to leave, I grabbed his wallet by mistake. I had already thrown my own wallet in my gym bag I kept with a change of clothes because I go over straight after work. I got all the way home without realizing it. I live 20 minutes away and it was raining at 11 o'clock at night. So I get a phone call maybe 5 minutes after I get home. Hey man, do you have my wallet? Check my pocket and sure enough it's there. Tell him I'm sorry that I have it. Well, I need you to drive it back to me. He doesn't know this, but I have to be at work at 8 in the morning and leave at 12 the next morning, but I didn't say this. I just asked him if I can bring it to him early tomorrow. I know I messed up. No, bud, you messed up. I work early in the morning and I want to go out, so I need my wallet. You gotta bring it to me, man. You messed up. You've gotta make it right. Dude, it's raining and late. And I don't care, man. That's my property. Well, of course, but we're friends and you should be able to trust me. That's not the issue. That's my property and you can't keep it. If you don't bring me my wallet, you're no longer allowed at my house. Oh? Well, I guess I'm no longer allowed at your house then. And you can come get your wallet tonight if you really want to go out so badly this late. Otherwise, you can wait until the morning before I go to work. And he decided to come get it. I ended up giving him $20 as well since he drove out. I guess we aren't friends anymore. Am I the jerk? Edit. Someone said to edit this post and talk about the visual impairment of the rain. It was hard to see at points in time. I don't know what you want me to say. It's Florida, April, and if you live in Florida, you know how chaotic the weather can be here. Sunny one spot, pouring the next. A drizzle here and more pouring. So like that, except dark, I guess. Also, if you say he could have gotten hurt coming to get his wallet in the rain, but call me a jerk for not wanting to do the same to either of us, then you're kind of the jerk. You're the jerk. It was your mistake because you took your friend's wallet and didn't make right by it. How hard is this? Wouldn't want to be friends with you either. You're the jerk. How is this even a question? You messed up, took someone's wallet, credit cards, and identification, then asked him to deal with it because it's raining and you need to sleep? Yeah, you're a big jerk. Am I the jerk for going into my sister's house without permission? I, female 32, have a younger sister who's 19 that has a set of twins who are both 1. She got pregnant unexpectedly in high school, and me and my parents have been very supportive of her. My husband owns a townhome complex that he rents out, and we decided to let her live in one of them rent-free since she's in college and we want her to focus on that. The only rule I had for her was to not allow her baby daddy, who's 23, to move in. The guy's pretty much bad news and has a record, and every time he comes into my sister's life, he sets her back, mentally and academically, and way more stuff. My husband drives past these homes every day, and he always sees my sister's baby daddy's car in the driveway. At first, I thought he was just visiting or babysitting, but my husband left work at 11 p.m. one night, and he told me he had seen the car there still. So my suspicion was he was staying there. I asked my sister first, and she lied to me and said he's never there, which is a lie because his car is there daily. My sister went out of town, and this is where I might be wrong, but I just needed to see for myself. So I used the master key and went into the house, and it's pretty clear that he's living there. Almost all of his stuff was there, and I was honestly furious because that was the only rule I gave her, and we're losing money by helping her. I waited for her to come home, and I confronted her about it, and of course it turned into a screaming match, and she was mad I went into her home without permission. I told her she needs to start paying rent or I'll be evicting her. My mom is on her side and said it was unnecessary that I went into her home when she wasn't there, and that I would be the jerk if I start demanding rent or evict her since I was once her age and I dated horrible dudes too. So, am I the jerk? Edit. No, she does not have a lease for the townhouse since she's not paying anything there. If she were to start paying rent, she would be put on the lease. The only thing that she pays for is cable and electricity. Everything else we pay for. The townhouse is under the ownership of husband's company. Second edit. The argument that some of you guys are making that she's a tenant and I broke rental agreement, I'm gonna repeat myself. She does not have a lease or rental agreement. Technically, the place is still my husband's. She hasn't paid any sort of rent towards the house. She never paid any security deposit. She's legally just a person that stays on our property. The most rights she would potentially have is squatter's rights. Other than that, no. How do you guys think we have spare keys to get in? If she was a traditional renter, we wouldn't have access to a spare like that. Again, my sister has no binding to the property. It's in my husband's name. He's the sole owner of that property. Her ownership to the house is equivalent to someone staying at a hotel for free. Not the jerk. She knew the rules, she broke them. She can pay her way or live by the rules. It's a simple concept, really. Not the jerk. Sounds like she's used to no consequences. Lied to your face. It's not her house if she doesn't pay rent or a mortgage. Legally, you were in the wrong, and so was she. But morally, you're not the jerk. You set one rule in return for repeatedly gifting her a large amount of money each month. It's obvious that she thinks she can do whatever she wants without any consequences, so I would stay the process of evicting her. If your mom is so concerned, she can live with your mom, or your mom can pay for her to rent somewhere else. But I would get her out of that house because she seems like the type to start mistreating it because she's not getting what she wants. And this is why you never let someone you're related to move into a house that you own. It's just asking for trouble. New neighbors have 9 people crammed into a 2-bedroom apartment and are extremely loud all of the time. I've lived in my apartment for almost 2 years, and my experience has been unproblematic so far. I live in the second to last unit, and our old neighbors in the last unit moved out about 2 months ago. We got new neighbors in that unit 3 days ago. For those 3 days, it's been rough. There are at least 5 kids and 4 adults living in the unit. The kids and adults yell almost constantly. Kids are loud, but that doesn't even bother me the most because it can be tuned out. What's bothering me is that the adults have had at least 2 extra vehicles in the parking area. Each unit gets 2 spaces, unassigned, and my partner and I utilize both of ours. And they play loud music for hours while smoking and drinking in their running cars. In the day, they do the same, and the kids run around all the parked vehicles. It's painful to see the alerts on my doorbell cam when the kids are playing around the vehicles, because I bought a new vehicle just last week, so I'm still in the phase where I'm hyper aware of making sure it's taken care of cosmetically and mechanically. On day 2 of new neighbors, one of the kids set my car alarm off somehow. I still can't figure it out, but a scooter was involved. My dilemma is, what do I do? I've already asked one of the adults nicely if they could maybe avoid the kids playing tag with vehicles, but shortly after is when my alarm went off. I don't want to complain to management because the neighbors would obviously know it was me, as I'm the only next-door neighbor aside from the building across from us. Maybe I'm being dramatic or paranoid. I don't know, man. I really feel like a Karen, but this crap is stressful for me, considering I haven't had to worry about this crap since I've moved in. I doubt the management rented to 9 people. Let them know. Support our channel by joining as a member today, and we'll give you a shout out in our next video. Or come watch this video next. You won't believe what Karen does in that one.